My name is Ernest Minu. Let's settle for the details now. Presiding Bishop of the Methodist Church of Ghana has charged the NDC's vice presidential candidate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, to change the face of Ghanaian politics, which he says is fraught with vindictiveness, mudslinging, and vilification. Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo at a Thanksgiving service, who fumed also over the lynching of a 90-year-old woman, urged the NDC running mate to exemplify the tenets of Christianity in her leadership.
Now you are coming into a situation, you are coming onto the political scene, you are coming into an atmosphere and an environment that is full of all kinds of things. All kinds of things. And I believe that by now you have been baptized or getting baptized into it. But listen, this God in whom you trust is a God of integrity. This God in whom you trust is a God who has a soft spot for the vulnerable, for the poor, for the aged, for the landless people. This God in whom you trust is a God who seeks the welfare of people. Coming in as a woman, you have coming at a time when in our country someone has just been lynched as a woman. As a woman, where she was seen and called a witch for no reasons. Is that how we should treat our women? Is that how we should treat vulnerable people in our society? Is that how we should treat old people in our society? You are coming in at a time to stand and champion the cause of such vulnerable people. And I pray that this God, in whose presence you have come, will equip you, will enable you, will strengthen you, will give you the insight and give you the wisdom to do what is right for people in the Ghanaian society. To serve this present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, may it all my powers engage to do the master in whose presence you sit, his will. What you say, what you think, what you do, what you tell the people should be the master's will. May this God go with you.
Now, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, on her part, gave thanks to God for her new appointment and asked for support from Ghanaians to execute her mandate.
And I just want to say very briefly how grateful I am to God for everything He's made in my life. And as I was telling Presiding Bishop this morning, the one thing I've learned is to give thanks no matter what. Sometimes it's difficult to do because what is happening is not something you really wanted to happen. But that is also when we know that we don't direct what God should do. This is an important step He has put in my path. I do not plan to take this step by myself because I know I cannot. I am trusting Him to go along with me, just as I'm trusting you also, all of you, those of us who are here, those of us who are listening from wherever, that this is a step we are going to take together. And we are taking this step ultimately to the glory of God. Let us just have that mindset that He has brought us this far. He knows the destination. So we are counting on Him for the strength, for the wisdom, for the direction. We are counting on Him to take us where He thinks we need to be. And let us not forget, it's not always at the end that we give glory. Let us give glory all the time.
Meanwhile, at the unveiling event on Monday evening, former President John Mahama said the NDC is poised to regain power, and Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman is a formidable personality.
Indeed, the selection of Professor Opoku-Agyeman
as our running mate is a demonstration of the many bold and progressive changes the next NDC administration that I will lead, inshallah, will embark upon. The involvement of women in the decision-making process will not end at the level of the Vice Presidency. We will work again towards the attainment of a minimum of 30% of all appointments going to women. We have an opportunity in this election as Ghanaians to fully give meaning to gender equality and also to have a highly educated and disciplined woman placed in a critical position to influence policy and shape our nation's destiny. We will implement a set of robust health policies and plans aimed at aggressively tackling and reducing maternal mortality by half from the current 319 per 100,000 live births. We shall ensure female social economic improvement. We shall enact the spousal rights law, establish exclusive and secured shelters for abused women and children, and provide opportunities for all. Ladies and gentlemen, as a Social Democratic Party, we seek to harness the best qualities in all our people to transform the destiny of our nation. And in that direction, and as the fulcrum around which our health policy will evolve, we will, before the end of 2021, introduce and begin the implementation of a free primary health care plan. This will make the provision of primary health care to all Ghanaians, young and elderly, free. Our free health care plan will guarantee a healthy people and provide a healthy workforce needed to accelerate our development. My brothers and sisters, the 2020 elections will be a referendum on the 4 years of the Nana Akufo-Addo presidency. 4 years of nepotism, 4 years of corruption, 4 years of stagnation, 4 years of deliberately abandoning of badly needed social and economic infrastructure, 4 years of dehumanization, 4 years of disenfranchising Ghanaians, 4 years of stripping Ghanaians of their citizenship, 4 years of deliberate collapse of indigenous Ghanaian businesses, 4 years of massive job losses, 4 years of economic hardship.
Professor Opoku-Agyeman also called on the NDC rank and file to join in the campaign to redeem power.
Making history is gratifying, but what really matters is not to be the first through the door. What matters is to hold that door open for those behind us. What matters is to create other avenues for self-actualization for many more. That is the work of the next 4 years. Many are those who are now more energized to vote, thanks to the momentous decision, JM, that you have made. I urge them all to do just that. We plan not to disappoint you. By your advice and your choice, you have turned the struggles of many women who have come before this moment into a probability. We, and I refer to the men, the women, our youth, our children, we all have a chance to finally make real our dreams of serving this country at any level, of removing doubts and proving once again that collectively we are all capable. This is the time we have been waiting for. Alo nyemi mimale. Insa yebotu mi aye. Nyamenye yamboafo. Yeah, I know sometimes it gets emotional, for which we will not apologize, because emotions only confirm our humanity. After serious reflection, consultations, prayers, and encouragement of colleagues, of family, of my children, I am very happy to have accepted the nomination to be the running mate of the presidential candidate of the great National Democratic Congress. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is an act of faith which I do not take lightly at all. I do not underrate the huge responsibilities and expectations that come with the call. I heard some of the women. But I call on all of us to translate our excitement and approval into action for the benefit of the good people of our beloved country. I accepted the nomination fundamentally because it is an opportunity to serve my country once again, albeit at a higher level. In God do I continue to trust, that I may never be confounded.
Away from the opposition NDC, the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Samuel Eku, has urged his fellow patriots not to succumb to intimidation from any of the opposition parties in the Volta region as the country gears towards the general elections. He reckoned how challenging it is to support and work for the governing party in the National Democratic Congress's stronghold, and urged patriots not to let down their guard but continue to work in the interest of the NPP towards victory in the December general elections. Mr. Eku said this after he monitored the voters' registration exercise and interacted with some NPP members in the 6 constituencies of the Volta region.
Mr. Awuku was led by the Volta Regional NPP Chairman, Makafi Wanya, to monitor the ongoing registration exercise at selected registration centers in the Ho Central, Ho West, Afagato South, Pando, North Dine, and South Dine constituencies. The team also had engagement with NPP members in the immediate electoral areas of the registration centers they visited.
I'm very encouraged, and I beg you, let's also be vigilant so that nobody will turn our 6 to 9 or our 9 to 6. I know that it's very difficult working here, making our party popular, but I am confident that the work we have started with our coordinators, with our constituency executives, with our regional executives, inshallah, a time will come, we will turn this place into a stronghold. That's what I'm very
Ghana to register president Dana Amadole Miadomari. We have a president Namio. We have a member of parliament Namio. Nico Glomila Ikuman, Yaminya Baraka Glomu.
Mr. Awuku, after the monitoring exercise, appreciated efforts by the regional and constituency executives in ensuring a credible voters register is compiled for the December general elections.
And again, we have also made it clear on the field that the NPP will not be intimidated by any of our opponents or anybody from the side of the EC in flagrant disregard to the provisions of the CR. We want to ensure that there's a credible voters register that will favor all parties, not just one party. And for us to also be convinced that the people of Ghana can be given their full and inalienable right to elect their member of parliament and to elect a president. But so far, all I can say is kudos to our regional chairman and his executives. They've done a fantastic job together with the constituency executives of the NPP and our agents. Their vigilance and resilience, to me, has been the success story of this registration exercise, and I'm happy about that. We have also raised protests where necessary at some of the registration centers when we felt that our people were being intimidated and also being prevented from monitoring the exercise. But so far, it's gone very well.
The Deputy Youth and Sports Minister, Perry Okujetu, who was part of the team, however, shared concerns on minor reports of foreigners being aided to register at centers and border communities.
Yes, we got a few reports along polling stations that are near the border posts on the Ghana-Togo borderline, where people come in to try and register who clearly are not Ghanaian. You know, there's a process for this type of thing where either they are challenged or we activate whatever processes there are to make sure that foreigners do not get on our electoral roll. I believe that it is being dealt with both at the EC level and at, party agent level. So I would say that, yes, even with those problems that have come up in particular polling stations, I think that is still a satisfactory exercise.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
Let me take you to Kumasi now, and you recall we brought you that story. Assistant Headmaster of Jisosek Tech, Albert Apia-Kofi, has pleaded not guilty to charges of unlawful detention, assault, and exposing students to harm. One of two students who were locked in his office has pleaded guilty with explanation to stealing property belonging to the school. The two are currently before the Jabin Circuit Court, and Law FM's Erastus Asaridonko joins us via Zoom with more on this. Erastus, you have been to court today. What more can you report from the court on this particular case?
We are in front of the Jabin Circuit Court, presided over by Veronique Praba Tete, her ladyship, and the case proceedings just ended. And we had appearing before her today one of the two students who were alleged to have stolen the school's stabilizer, leading to their lockup in the assistant headmaster's office. And we had Gajisbeg Asameti, the other student who was locked up. He faced charges of conspiracy to commit crime, which he pleaded guilty with explanation. And then unlawful entry, he pleaded not guilty. And stealing, he pleaded guilty and was convicted to spend a day in jail, plus pay a fine of 1,200 Ghana cedis and sign a bond of good behavior for 12 months. Now, the other person who appeared before her today in this particular issue is Apia Albert Kofi, who is the assistant headmaster of the school. Now, he faced charges of assault, unlawful imprisonment, abetment to commit crime, to which attempted suicide, that he aided them to put a harmful substance in his office and lock them up in there. And so by so doing, he aided them to commit suicide. He pleaded not guilty to all the charges and has been granted a 5,000 Ghana cedi bail with one surety. I must say the other student was not in court. His father, a medical report from the Joseph Hospital indicating that he has been admitted again to hospital. His case has been adjourned to next month.
All right, Erastus, in the case of the student who has been convicted, are you able to verify his age and whether or not he's been taken to a Bostal Institute or to the regular prisons? Can you help us understand that?
Well, yes, that is what the judge said. He has been taken to proper custody, and he's to spend just a day in there. And his other colleague who faces attempted suicide will be brought to court at a later date when he's okay and fit to stand a trial.
Tell us about his demeanor. How did he receive this sentencing, and what can you tell us about the atmosphere in court today?
Well, I must say that Gajisbeg Asameti, the 18-year-old student, was totally confused, and you could see the tension on his face as he stood before the judge. He came with no lawyer. Standing right behind him in the dock was the assistant headmaster, who was also facing the court on other charges. And so you could see from his demeanor that he was very confused. And when he pleaded not guilty to the charge of conspiracy to commit crime, his explanation was that they did not attempt to steal the item and that they were just holding on to it to deliver the item to the school authorities. And so they had no intention of stealing the item. It was then that the judge herself.
All right, that's my colleague Erastus Donko there, bringing us some live updates on the case at JoyNews Tech. The student involved, one of them has been convicted, and the headmaster also charged and has been granted a 5,000 cedi bail. We'll be following up on the other cases for you right there. But let me take you to the Supreme Court here in Accra, because the court has, in a unanimous decision, dismissed a case challenging the accreditation of the Ghana School of Law as the only institution to provide professional law courses. CDD Ghana, in public law, or Justice Professor Stephen Asari, I beg your pardon, who is a fellow with the CDD, dragged the Attorney General and the General Legal Counsel to court, arguing that the current arrangement on the legal education is unconstitutional. Court correspondent Joseph Akabley joins us live from court. Joseph, first of all, what was the case of Professor Asari? Well, we seem to be having challenges there, reaching my colleague Joseph Akabley, but essentially the Supreme Court has thrown away the case that was brought before it by CDD fellow Professor Stephen Asari on the admission and protocol into the Ghana School of Law. He wanted some relief from the court. Court correspondent Joseph Akabley will join us shortly to bring us some update from the court there. Joseph joins us again. Joseph, thank you for your time here on JoyNews today. Just a little recap on what the case of Professor Stephen Asari was. What exactly did he want the court to do? Hello, Joseph. Can you hear me? Hello, Joseph. Apologies there. We're working the lines. Once we have Joseph on the line, we'll bring you up to speed with what happened in court today. You're watching News Today with me, and we're taking a short break. When we return, we have more stories for you. Don't go away.
So we certainly have a lot to talk about on this promise on the marketplace at 1 o'clock. But away from that, the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, NBSSI, has begun the second phase of disbursement targeting medium-sized enterprises. This was after the conclusion of the first phase, where 56 million cedis was disbursed to some micro enterprises. Executive Director of the NBSSI, Madam Kosi Yankee Ayes, says some 30 million cedis has been set aside for medium-sized businesses
and disbursed to them. There are people who applied upwards of up to 2,000 Ghana cedis. We've also initiated the process to start with the NIDASOR funding, which is those who applied above 2,000 cedis. And we are working very closely with the participating financial institutions that have been selected to ensure that all the beneficiaries have the needed access and will get to people. There's been a lot of conversation as to, are we really disbursing? Yes, we have been disbursing. Some people claim they haven't received the funding, and yes, we've also seen, there have been challenges that have come up. Before we give out the funds, as much as possible, we try to match the names of the Momo with the names of the person who has applied. And it's amazing that over 30% of the beneficiaries usually do not have the names that they applied with on their Momo. So when we go out to make payments, we realize that the funds are returned back to us because the names do not correspond. So we have to now go back and look at over 20,000 applicants and see how we are going to reach them to ensure that the names they've given and the Momo they've given us really align. But as much as possible, over 60,000 plus have benefited or received access to funding. Thank you.
So the second part which you mentioned, when are they also going to get it? You did mention that you've started the process, but when are they going to get it?
Oh, it's ongoing. So every day we release some funds, we go on ahead and we are working on that close. We've set targets for ourselves, and as much as possible we want to close so that we can be able to go through and see all the changes that we've made in the lives of the Ghanaian people.
Now, small-scale miners in the western region are calling for renewed strategy to combat alluvial mining. Let's stay with that story because they are saying that this was after the... All right, so let me take that story again. Small-scale miners in the western region are calling for a renewed strategy to combat alluvial mining. They say investment in the fight against the menace is yet to yield desired result due to defiance of recalcitrant dredgers. The Small-Scale Miners Association says offenders return within weeks of any operation to flush them out of the river bodies. Here's a report by Nanaya Ojima.
Miners here, together with national leadership, formed a task force to deal with dredges on the Ofin River. They worked under the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, led by Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. Despite several operations to save the country's water bodies, quality continues to deteriorate since dredgers refuse to give up. Mr. Ayeke says government will have to improve its support for the task force to augment the association's efforts.
We should be doing the operation frequently. If you do it today, maybe next 2 weeks before you come, or 1 month, 6 months, before you come, they will come back to the water bodies. So we need a constant operation to get rid of them from the water bodies.
How do you think this can be made possible, the constant operation?
Constant operation can be possible when we have the logistics and the money, the funds. Though some of our big men have been sponsoring us, especially Professor Frimpong Boateng has been helping us somewhere along the line. The small-scale miners, the leaders, the executives, they have been supporting us. But still, it is not enough.
River Ofin has lost its drinking quality due to dredging of the waterbed for gold. Communities here who relied on the water now can use it only for other activities. Continued dredging has widened the course of the river and increased flood rates.
She says, we use it for domestic activities aside cooking and drinking. This is an extension of the river, but Ofin itself, we can't fetch it because it's too dirty. We are not to blame. These people are settlers. If you call for their arrest, other people will attack you.
Now, a renewed exercise by the Central Region has resulted in destruction of over 100 Shanfine boats in 4 days. Leader of the team, Bracey Ando, believes with the necessary equipment, they stand a chance of winning the war.
We stopped because of our vehicles and our equipment. We don't have equipment that we will use. So we are pleading that if the boat comes, we will work very hard. You can see this boat. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to somebody. And we just went and begged the person so that he will give us the boat. Without boat, you cannot work on this river.
From Dunkwao in the Central Region for JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
For business, for now, I'm back at One Way, the marketplace. I am Sandra Esinamapin. Thanks so much for watching.